Hey, folks. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday, and I hope you're also looking forward to a great weekend ahead. This is now the sixth day of the war in Iraq, and the country of Canada uh, is a little bit abuzz about the reaction of our Prime Minister Mark Carney with respect to his support of the invasion of Iraq. I think it's important to understand the dynamics of this kind of a subject to begin with. You have all kinds of people across all kinds of political disciplines uh, who have their opinions, and boy, if there was ever a topic that would be polarizing and divisive with people, it would be, the war itself, the cost of war, uh, and the official posture of the country of Canada and its prime minister with respect to that war. Uh, Here's what Mark Carney did not say. He did not say that we are going to be participating in the war. He did not say we're going to be sending troops. Uh, but what he did say is that, I think he prefaced this with the annotation that this is regrettable, but he supports uh, the regime change and ostensibly, uh, the invasion of Iran. Um, I think it's exceedingly, exceedingly important for people to understand that there is a huge backdrop at play here. I'm going to reveal that to you in a second. Um, what Canada has been dealing with since Donald Trump has taken office, they have been dealing with an extremely, extremely volatile, very impatient, very impulsive person, very reactionary. We've seen this so many times that when Donald Trump views a political peer or a political rival, as the case may be, who does not agree with him, there is just this intense fury that comes out of this. Back when we look at what happened last Sunday in the aftermath of the opening of the invasion of Iran, the nation of Spain uh, essentially came out and said, we do not support this. We do not support this invasion. And they made that quite clear, and they made that very emphatic. And what was Donald Trump's response to that? He turned around and said, I'm going to suspend trade relations with Spain. I mean, that is just vintage, typical Donald Trump. Uh, you either have to agree with him wholeheartedly, or at least give the manner of appearance that you agree with him, or there's going to be some kind of pushback from him. This, in my perception and opinion, this is a person who has an extremely, extremely large ego. You're just not allowed to have an opinion that is differing or different than his. Uh, and I think the situation with Spain, I think that's just a classic example. Um, Doug Ford was, let's use Doug Ford as well intentioned as he was. When he produced that television commercial uh, about the United States and about trade relations Donald Trump just hit the roof. One premier in one province in Canada has an opinion that doesn't flatter Donald Trump. And the next thing you know, what does he do? He said, we're going to suspend all trade relations with Canada. And, it's a couple of months, 2 to 3 months later, we're just getting back to the negotiating table. It's almost as though Donald Trump said to Canada, go sit in your corner and you'll have no dinner and you're not going to go outside to play with your friends and you can't leave your corner until we tell you you can. This is the classic volatility of the president. Now, I dare say as well, when you want to look at people who are on the other side of the political spectrum, they will say, let's use Pierre Poilievre as an example. They will say that, oh, well, Mark Carney should not have done this. Mark Carney should have brought this before Parliament, etc., etc., etc. Respectfully, in this case, I do not agree with that posture. I believe Mark Carney said the exact right thing to avoid the political fallout in relations between the United States and Canada. It has nothing to do, in my estimation, about challenging the President of the United States or trying to get a one-up on him. It doesn't have anything to do with that. What it has to do with is Mark Carney, I believe, is intelligent enough to realize that, hey, I can't just open my mouth and say what I really feel here, okay? Because there's too much to lose. And if I say what I really feel, what is there to gain? There's nothing to gain from doing that. I mean, he could come right out publicly and say, Donald Trump is, in my view, is acting inappropriately in this situation, and we don't support the war. What is that going to accomplish? Aside from the negativity that comes back from the President of the United States. And I think there's a big difference between, licking a boot and having the common sense to know when to say something and when not to say something. And I think that Mark Carney is demonstrating that. You got a whole lot of people who, from media personalities to the opposition leader to the opposition, gosh, I wish we could get past this idea of polarizing and dividing, and I'd love to get back to more thinking, to get back to more critical thought. I wouldn't want the job that Mark Carney has in front of him with someone as volatile a world leader who happens to be the leader of the most powerful country in the world. I wouldn't want to function. I really admire him for going through that and having to deal with that. Armchair quarterbacks, there's lots of them, and they'll say, well, you should have said this, and you should have done that, and you should have acted this way. But until you sit in the seat, you don't understand the repercussions. And for that matter, until you actually sit in that seat, I don't think anybody realizes how a tenuous situation it can be to make statements on something like the invasion of Iran. So myself personally, I give Mark Carney a passing grade on this, not because I support the invasion of Iran, not because I do not believe in due process and the democratic process. It's just that I think he said the right thing. We did not commit. Canada did not commit troops. They did not commit armaments. They just simply said, yeah. He just simply said, yeah. We create or we endorse the regime change, and therefore we regrettably, and that was the operative word, we regrettably we support the invasion or the war on Iran. And I think it's very, very important for people to understand where this posture comes from. It's a very well thought out posture. It's not knee-jerk. It's got nothing to do with partisan politics. And quite honestly, I get very disappointed sometimes with opposition people who, no matter what you say, if Mark Carney had said the reverse, and I guarantee this, if he had said the exact opposite and said, we don't support it, that's when all the opposition people would line up around the block and they'd be saying, no, you said the wrong thing. Because no matter what he says, they're going to turn around and they're going to criticize what he said. I think it's really, really high time that we move away from this hyper-partisan. By default, they're just going to criticize what the Prime Minister has done without really giving too much critical thought to the situation and the gravity of the situation. Anyways, having said that, I understand that there are a lot of different opinions here. I'd love to hear yours, please, and I invite you to put it in the comments section underneath this video. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens throughout the rest of the weekend. I know gas prices are going through the roof. I think my blood pressure went up just driving by one. I didn't even have to fill up. I just looked at the sign and said, oh my God. Anyways, you have a great weekend. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts with you. Please share your thoughts with me as well. And also, I'd like to say thank you for anyone that has subscribed or liked or shared these videos that I'm creating. I'm having a real good time doing it, and it's a wonderful experience. So thank you to all for supporting, and I hope you have a great weekend ahead. Ciao.